But it sounds good, so like genetics has a good, strong word to it, right? Well, the biggest issue that I think we should all embrace as women when it comes to breast care is that we are basically at low risk for breast cancer. That's true. If you look at the numbers, it's like in the single digits. Oh, but if you live until you're, okay, if you eat garbage, whatever, by the time you're 80, something might show up. But right now, our chances are pretty low for most of us. If you were to go to a shoe store, well, let me even preface this. 40 to 50% of women have dense breasts. Do you think mammograms do well with dense breasts? No, they don't. 40 to 50% of women from 40 to up to 70s have dense breasts. So there's a technology, this primary form of technology to look for problems that doesn't do such a good job. Can you imagine going to a shoe store and having the shoe salesperson say, you know what, I'm sorry, but your feet are just not right for our shoes. They say, well, and you would take those feet and you would leave. You would not sit and argue and say, well, maybe on a good day. Mammograms can overdiagnose, they can underdiagnose. Depression. Now, women are strong. We are strong. We think, well, we can take it. Many of us are born children. Think of a 10-pound bag of rice. Think of 5 of them. 50 pounds of rice you can hardly carry, right? That and more is the amount of pressure used in a mammogram. Wow. If you wonder why they pinch ladies, it's because it's meant to pinch. It flattens the tissue so you can from the edge, except that most of breast cancer that's found seems to be more in the middle. But in any case, I had my first mammogram in my 20s. I was a zealous faculty member at UCLA. Zealous. Never had another one. I was never moved to do that. Thermography. So I don't think about that. Denial is one of my MOs. We all do what we do. So the idea of getting ultrasound, that some third world countries, for a third world country, how come we can't qualify for that? But anyway, so ultrasound is a scan that countries have used for looking at breast exams. Thermography is another one. There's a Dr. Len Saputo, who's in Walnut Creek, who does thermography. For as much as for a pair of shoes that some people will buy here. Mm-hmm. It's not so expensive. The programming and conditioning is, does insurance cover it? Mm-hmm. Well, if insurance covers it, sometimes I don't want it. And that's one of my thoughts, because I'm not a consumer of a lot of things that insurance covers, but I think we need to sensitize ourselves that insurance doesn't cover this wonderful lunch. Insurance doesn't cover a lot of things we do for our life and health and well-being. Insurance does not cover my garden. The bouquet I did right is from my garden. I picked it today and yesterday. This is part of my mental health program. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of things in our life and we can say health care advocate. Well, your points of leisure and your hobbies can be things that can help restore your health and wellness. And not to forget that, and not to minimize the time you spend doing that to take care of yourself. So getting really clear that it's your choice about how you want to have your breast exams done. It's absolutely your choice. So it comes to the point of clarity about the fact that you can do it, and that you also hold yourself confident. I want to move into courage, because I think courage is really called for here. The root word for courage is cœur, the French word for heart. So we have to have heart. When we ground ourselves and we really come from a position of heart, we're in a much stronger, more empowered position. I want to work with my providers. I want to be an advocate for myself, but I do not set it as an adversarial relationship. I think every provider I've ever met has had a good in their heart to serve their patients. So if I come in and I ask questions, I may have to have some courage to ask some questions. I'm doing it in a way that's respectful and mutually respectful and honest about it. One of my colleagues went to her doctor, and the doctor says, I don't know about your breast. I think I should do a biopsy. Now, a biopsy, needle into a site. And I have seen pictures where the needle traps out the cancer cells. And personally, I'm not a big person on biopsy. In fact, I'm not a big person for labels. If you have an irregularity, maybe you just want to stop drinking a bottle of wine a night. Or the alcohol. You know, breast cancer, risk factors, it's a risk factor. So Rosemary goes to her doctor. The doctor says, I think I should do a biopsy. And Rosemary looks at her doctor and she said, not on me. And the doctor was stumped. She said she just didn't think anyone ever said no to her before. And Rosemary was very clear that she did not want a biopsy. Now, Rosemary knew that she could treat whatever she had. She could find someone who would be a healer to help her clear whatever the issue was. Without to be named. Many years ago, I went to the Tijuana clinics. I was forced to go. Forced. I mean, not really, but I was like pushed on the bus to go. I was not interested if it would be a miracle. It was real miracle, right? And I met a woman. She said she had a chest full of tumors when she went down to Tijuana and was treated by a healer. And she said everything cleared up. She said never had a diagnosis, but I don't have anything in my chest. No more lumps. So just as a caution, yes, does it require courage to go outside the box and do what your heart tells you to? I mean, truly, I think we should all do what we believe is the best thing for ourselves, which requires confidence. Trina was a client of mine many years ago, and I treated her because she had permission from her mother. She was a teenager at the time. And I had been doing doctoral research using acupressure for dysmenorrhea, or menstrual cramps. And the good news was I didn't need any doctor's permission because I convinced my human subjects committee that every woman, well, most women have this, or many women have it. So they don't go to the doctor because they have cramps. So I treated Trina and showed her all these pressure points to use on her belly, and she got rid of her cramps, and she never had them again. She used them as often as she needed for the rest of her menstrual cycles. And when she told us to me not long ago, she said, when I went to college, I taught my friends how to do it. So I thought, that is leadership. We're confronted with a lot of things, a lot of misinformation, disinformation. Today in California, a doctor who will treat you for cancer is not allowed to say, these are alternatives that I recommend you do before we do anything else. They cannot recommend detoxification because that's the standard of practice. If you think your doctor can tell you anything your doctor wants to, you are misinformed. In the United States, and I even hope it's not California, don't tell me if it is, but doctors who repeat what's on some of the government websites they lose their license. You think, that's a government website. No, that's misinformation. We're looking at how we're giving information. It's very crazy, which brings us back to why we need to be so clear about our own needs, why we need to be courageous for what it is that we believe will suit us, and why we need to be really confident about the decisions that we're making. One of my clients right now has a dimpled breast, and they're pretty sure she has breast cancer, but she doesn't want a biopsy done. And her family are begging her, please have a mastectomy, just have a mastectomy. She goes to I'm not going to say it, a male naturopath who says, get the mastectomy, and then we'll do a detoxification. I thought, I don't know, the order matters. Whatever. But because her doctors are saying this, and her family are telling her, she said, in my heart, I know the cost of cancer. I don't want the treatment for it. I don't want their treatment for it. And I know a half dozen people who treat fourth stage metastatic cancer naturally. This is not brand new. This has been going on for a very long time. But it really requires some confidence and courage and, diligence. And also everyone's got their own path. I know someone who, they had a broken arm, they went to the hospital, they died. You go, oh, well, I guess things can happen no matter what. So all the more reason that we show that we really hold true to ourselves and our own belief in our ability to take care of ourselves. Now, no one needs to out themselves. You can ask for a friend, wink, wink. But if anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to just give you my point of view. And the good news is, I have a point of view like you do. So my point of view is no better than yours, but it's different. Go ahead.
Anyway. I'm asking for myself, not a friend.
Well, she's asking for herself and not a friend.
My OBGYN, and based on my mammogram, has suggested I do a breast MRI and mammogram every 6 months, starting 4 years ago. Very expensive, even though it's covered under insurance. And I'm just wondering if you have any other options, because obviously it's producing something. They're waiting for it to grow. I don't know.
I'm sorry, so they're waiting for it to grow. Did you hear that? They're waiting.
Why else am I being sent every 6 months to spend $1,500 every single time?
All right.
So if you have different options or suggestions, that's me too. Like it's something like.
So yeah, well, don't come on that. Every 6 months, and then you say, well, I don't know, with all that pressure, with all that cumulative effect of ionizing radiation, that will produce breast cancer. Right? I don't know. What could go wrong? So my suggestion is we ask, you find someone, I don't know, you're not a driver, but you find someone who could give you another opinion. And you don't like that opinion, or you want a second opinion, we have acupuncture. Right. The primary care provider is California. Now I want to ask you all, when you were growing up, when everyone said, if you had a health problem, they said, ask your doctor. What kind of doctor did they usually mean? And medical doctor. Yep. They never said ask your herbalist, acupuncturist, massage therapist. They don't, that's not how we're programmed. So to go against your doctor, who you have, and who you want to trust, and you should trust them. And you should also know when to fold them, when to hold them, when to fold them. So my suggestion is to say thank you so much. I really appreciate your concern. I'm glad that you're doing standard of care. And you might find someone else with a different standard of care. Because pretty much that's the road. I mean, like you said it yourself, they're waiting for it to grow because their business is treated. Right. Did you have a question or a comment?
No, I just that has been my concern. Is it just feels like all these procedures one after the other. It feels like a vortex. Like once you do one, you do all of these, and I don't even have something waiting to grow. Just they saw something at one point, and then they do the analysis. So I don't know. Just hearing that, I was like, yeah, so many different procedures and things.
Choice, right? It's choice.
I'm just curious for you and for those of you who have kind of, I suppose, invested or working with integrative medicine practitioners, are you also working with kind of a Western MD? Like, are they both? Is it both and, or are you kind of fully vested in the one?
I think it's really important to do whatever you feel works for you. I think it's highly critical that you do what you feel serves you. I like going to I'm covered by I have healthcare insurance. So I'll go in and I might get an exam, and then I take these results to my naturopath, or I go to Google, or I do something else with it. But I don't mind. I mean, I think there's absolutely a place for Western medicine, but I don't think it's not the only game in town.
You practice with medicine?
Pardon?
You mean the practice of medicine?
The practice of medicine is one
First word.
Is one model.
First word. Practice.
Practice. They're practicing. Right. And you be patient.
And you be patient while we practice.
I think because I've been exposed to different forms of healing, and we had an introductory course at Berkeley. It was like the best course I had. It gave me a whole view of different points of view. Then it gave me some more confidence in every experience. But then you watch and you hear people tell their own stories. I'm going to be here as long as you want to. I'm happy to answer any questions for you, but I also want to make sure that you can keep this. I live in Berkeley, have a husband, a dog, and a garden. And that's also one of the gravel prices. And I know this is a short time, and to be challenged, to just, some of this may be brand new to some of you might say, well, you could have gone farther. But we have an audience, we want to keep them, and we want you to be comfortable at your own pace of speed. What I'm offering is a 90-minute free workshop, June 1, on a Thursday. Doesn't conflict with anything on the schedule of this organization. It's on the back of this, how to be your own best healthcare advocate, where I have a lot more time and can answer a lot more questions. It's a Zoom meeting, you can register for it from 12 to 1:30, and then I'll hang around for questions. There's nothing to buy at the workshop. I have nothing planned. I may be inspired between now and then, but it's a 90-minute free workshop because I believe we need to work in community. I believe we need to support each other. We need to help people around their path. People are at all different stages of waking up to what's possible. We're responsible for family, and our friends will come to us. I mean, their friends that's a major support for you. So if not now, when are you going to start your journey? And if not me, then find someone who you can work with to be a really good healthcare advocate. And if not this, then find something. It's been my pleasure and honor to be with you, and I'm back after 20 years.
Yay.
Because I'm back before another 20. I told Trudy when she came in with us and said, I'm going to get it, I said, I've been wanting a pink zone for my garden.
So now we're going to be doing a few other things.